Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping right into a massive, heavily data-driven deep dive into what is absolutely the greatest football rivalry of our generation, and honestly, quite possibly in the history of sports. We're talking, of course, about Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. But here is the single most important thing you need to know before we even get started. We're leaving our opinions and emotional biases entirely at the door. No taking sides today. Instead, we're going to look strictly at the data, the mathematical modeling, the financial impacts, and the cold, hard statistics to really understand how these two titans completely defined an era.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start with football's global business boom. Then we'll look at their clash of playing styles, the head-to-head stats, the math behind the magic, and finally, wrap it up with trophies, finals, and legacy.
All right, part one, football's global business boom, the billion-dollar stage.
Okay, let's dive into this. To truly appreciate the sheer magnitude of this rivalry, we first have to understand the multi-billion-dollar ecosystem they were playing in. If you look between 2008 and 2018, which were really the prime years for our two legends, the total accumulated value of the top European football leagues just completely exploded. We're talking about a massive jump from a 10.18 billion euro ecosystem to an astonishing 23.5 billion euros. Leagues like the English Premier League and Spain's La Liga saw unprecedented financial growth. And this massive economic boom, it created the absolutely perfect, lucrative stage for two generational talents to push each other and the sport's global popularity to heights we literally had never seen before. Moving right along to part two, clash of playing styles, the playmaker versus the powerhouse. You know, a rivalry is really only as good as its contrasts. And what made this dynamic so incredibly compelling was how entirely different these two were on the pitch. On one side, you've got Lionel Messi, widely praised for his natural skill, his playmaking, his vision, and that dribbling. He creates opportunities just as flawlessly as he scores them, using that illustrious left foot and lightning-fast direction changes. He obviously flourished heavily during that legendary tenure at Barcelona. Now, on the exact opposite side of the spectrum, you have Cristiano Ronaldo. He is defined by just immense physical prowess, unmatched dedication, and real adaptability across multiple top leagues, whether that was the Premier League, La Liga, or Serie A. He's this versatile powerhouse, celebrated for lethal finishing, unbelievable aerial ability, and just pure unmatched athleticism.
Which brings us to part three, head-to-head, the stats, by the numbers.
So we know they play differently, but how do those contrasting styles actually translate into objective hard numbers? Well, these career stats are just staggering. Based on the research, Messi leads in total career goals with 1,212 compared to Ronaldo's 1,147. But Ronaldo holds a really clear edge in hat-tricks, hitting 66 to Messi's 57. He's also way ahead in penalties, converting 164 compared to Messi's 109. Interestingly enough, Ronaldo edges out Messi in expected goals, or XG, at 229.38 to 219.91, which really highlights his incredibly lethal positioning. However, Messi holds a notably higher average match rating across his career, an astonishing 8.54 versus Ronaldo's 7.97. Honestly, the sheer volume of output from both of these guys is something that just continues to baffle statisticians today.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing how they performed when the lights were the absolute brightest in the UEFA Champions League. This graphic maps out their average match rating season by season. And what we're looking at here is supreme consistency on Europe's most elite, most difficult stage. Year after year, both players maintained average ratings that, frankly, mere mortals might achieve maybe once in a lifetime. It visually proves that neither of these guys was a flash in the pan. Their dominance was a sustained, decade-plus reality.
Part four, the math behind the magic, calculating greatness.
We've seen the raw stats, right? But researchers have actually taken this a step further, and it poses a really fascinating question. Can greatness actually be calculated? By plotting out their goals and financial earnings over time, analysts have attempted to use complex mathematical equations to map out the trajectories of both players. Ultimately, they're trying to prove that their output wasn't just phenomenal, it was mathematically predictable. Get this. Researchers discovered that both players' goal-scoring histories from 2008 all the way to 2020 can be incredibly accurately mapped using complex cubic equations. For Messi, the formula maps perfectly to his specific peak and sustained output, and similarly for Ronaldo, a slightly different cubic equation perfectly tracks his goal accumulation. So why does this matter to us? Because it proves that their long-term consistency isn't just some subjective feeling we have as fans. Their greatness literally fits into a predictable mathematical model.
And this brilliantly illustrates the business side of their careers, too. When researchers mapped out their financial earnings, they found entirely different mathematical models for each player. Messi's income growth over his career beautifully follows a smooth quadratic equation, just steadily climbing upward over time. Ronaldo's income, on the other hand, follows an exponential equation. Why is that? Well, it's because of a massive, sudden, vertical spike driven by his record-breaking move to Al Nassr in the Saudi League. It's actually pretty amazing to see real-world career choices reflected so perfectly in mathematical curves.
Finally, Part 5. Trophies, Finals, and Legacy, the ultimate measure.
Because beyond the math and the stats, the ultimate measure of success in the sport is silverware. Reporting neutrally on the updated official trophy count, as of 2026, the data shows Lionel Messi currently holding 72 career titles across his club and international career. Cristiano Ronaldo sits at 58 career titles. Both of these numbers are absolutely astronomical compared to any other player in the modern era. It really just reflects 2 careers spent almost entirely fighting in finals and title races.
Tracking their recent international successes offers a great timeline of their enduring impact, too. In 2019, Ronaldo led Portugal to victory in the UEFA Nations League. Messi answered back, finding his long-awaited international glory by winning the Copa America in 2021, and then, of course, following it up with the absolute pinnacle of the sport, winning the FIFA World Cup with Argentina in 2022. But Ronaldo proved his incredible longevity yet again, guiding Portugal to another UEFA Nations League triumph just recently in 2025.
Now, as they navigate the twilight of their club careers outside of Europe, their paths have yielded some pretty different recent results. Messi has seemed to adapt really quickly to life in the United States, already accumulating silverware with Inter Miami and the MLS. Ronaldo, meanwhile, continues to be a lethal goal scorer in Saudi Arabia for sure, but he has faced some frustrating hurdles in securing team trophies there. Most recently, he suffered a tough penalty shootout heartbreak in the 2025 Saudi Super Cup final with Al Nassr against Al Ahly.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the future of the sport. Because of that massive, multi-billion-dollar stage Messi and Ronaldo helped build, this next generation of stars is stepping into an unparalleled global spotlight. We're talking about players like Erling Haaland with his record-breaking goal scoring, Kylian Mbappe with that blinding speed, Barcelona's midfield maestro Pedri, and Real Madrid standouts like Jude Bellingham and Vinicius Jr. They are all thriving right now in this massive ecosystem left behind by our 2 titans.
To conclude our explainer today, I want to leave you with this really beautiful thought from Brazilian legend Ronaldinho. I learned all about life with the ball at my feet. The Messi-Ronaldo rivalry wasn't just about statistics or cubic equations or trophy counts. It exponentially increased the sport's global popularity and taught an entire generation of fans about dedication, artistry, and sheer resilience. So as we wrap up this data-driven look, the final provocative question isn't really about who is better. The real question is, looking at these staggering numbers and flawless mathematical models, will we ever see a statistical anomaly like this rivalry ever again in the history of sports? Thank you so much for watching, and keep learning.